business and life class to another series. So this time around, we said, okay, you know what, let's take a pause. It's like you're in school, you're running a semester program, and then at the end of the semester, you want to be sure that people are actually catching up on with what you're saying. And we also need the break to be able to ruminate and actually apply all that. Well, I'm sure we've been applying it over the months, but just more time for you to reflect. And of course, we're using this period as well to get valuable insights and feedback from you to see how the program has impacted. So let's see this more as an impact assessment period for all of us, right? So I know that personally I have been blessed by the Life Class series since it started. It's something that's I'm even passionate about. Even when I told Pastor Kemi about it, I didn't even know that plans were underway for something like this. And like I always tell people, even if I don't attend Soul City or Holy Hill as a whole, I don't mind coming for just Life Class and then leaving. Reminds me of when we used to go for outreach or evangelism in Millennium Park. So I know that if I'm talking to a Christian, so I can go all the way, talk about Holy Hill, talk about Soul City, talk about Life Class, and but if I'm talking to a Muslim, I just flip the Life Class card and it works. They're interested in coming, even though I know some of those guys, but they're interested. It's something that they're willing to attend because the principles you get from Life Class are not unique to just Christians, right? There are principles that if a Muslim, an atheist, anybody at all can apply and it would work. Look at Dangote, for example. He's not like he's a Christian, but he's applying business and life principles that are working effectively for him. So at this point, for this Sunday, we're going to have a panel session, and maybe for those of us that are not aware, we had, at the start of the program, the Life Class series, rather, we had a mentorship. There was provision for mentorship, right? So people signed up. So we want to know today how far they've gone. So we'll be calling on a mentor, a mentee, and then a third person that I like to think, okay, presenting the audience. More like, because he didn't sign up for any of the classes, he didn't sign up for the program, but I think he should talk to us from the perspective of someone that's been listening for so long. So at this point, let's call on a mentor, yes, one of the mentors, Feyi Motaru, and then Udwak Hamenti, and then there's, where's Danny? Yeah, Danny, the audience. So there'll be time for Q&A, so I mean, they're ready for you guys. So if you have questions, you can prepare them ahead of time. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Nice to meet you all again on this session. So, so let's start with introductions. Sophie, you can go first.
Okay, good morning, church. So I am Faye, and I'm a fashion designer. I own a fashion brand, and I've had the privilege to mentor UD for the past couple of months.
Good morning. Udwak Ilenotuma. I I am a new mom and a mentee of Mrs. Faye Otaro. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Ihesiaba Daniel. I'm not a mentee, I'm the audience, but I'm glad to be here. So I'm a general lover of art, do any stuff art. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so the first question is to you, Faye. You've been in this mentoring thing for some time now, and I believe you'd have I believe that while you're mentoring her, you also are learning a few other things. It's like teaching. The teacher also learns in the course of teaching. So can you share with us the role of mentoring and its importance in spiritual and business growth overall?
Okay, so the first thing I will say, I think just as you said, it's important to realize that So for me, first of all, I think I'll start from the beginning. For me, when I was called upon by Dr. Moody to be a part of this, I'll be honest, I kind of felt like, whoa, me, like, are you sure, like, you have the right person? Like, I don't think, I don't think I'm, one of those people. I don't think I'm there. And, but the beautiful thing is that this has been such a blessing to me. It has been, sometimes when you get into it, you don't know how much you have inside of you until you get into a position and it is kind of called forth out of you, it is drawn out of you. And that's what this has been really, because it kind of gave me a bit of a paradigm shift, and I thought, okay, maybe I can really step into this. And more so, it has, having the thought and the mindset that I could actually mentor someone has also caused me to dig deep and look inside and see what it is that I have to offer and how I can really be a blessing. Because to be honest, God has not made any placeholders. Like, each one of us is here with purpose. Like, there are specific things to us. It's kind of like what, I don't know, it's what one of the women at Dawes said the other day, like, you don't have any peers. There's something very specific that God has put inside of you. And so it's honestly been such a blessing for me to actually step into this mentoring role, even in the business sense, because yes, I'm a Christian and, that is very much my personality, my whole thing. But also this business aspect of it has, it has really drawn something special out of me. Now, to speak to UD specifically, right from the beginning, actually, even before we were assigned mentorship, I feel like there was a connection, because right after we had the first panel session, she came to me and she was like, I really, I identify with you because I'm a new mom and I know you're a mom. Like, how do you balance it? How do you, do it? I'm trying to get back. And she's also an entrepreneur in the making and all of that. And she's like, I know you're an entrepreneur because I don't want to get a job. So there was a connection there right off the bat, and it has just been so, like, mutually beneficial for both of us, I believe. Yeah, so you also spoke about the spiritual aspect. In 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 2, Paul was writing to Timothy. He said, these things you have heard from me, commit to faithful men, and mentorship is a godly principle. It's discipleship, it's passing. It's not just like telling somebody, do this, and okay, bye. No, it's actually pouring into them, like committing, checking on them. It's not just even in one aspect. It's kind of, because oftentimes we see how Paul talks to Timothy. He's like, sometimes you see a little wine for your belly. How are you feeling? How is this? You can see that there is something personal, something very intentional about it. And I think that's the beauty of mentorship, because God is a holistic God. It's not just one aspect. If once you come to church, I'm good. I don't really care about the rest of your life. No, it's not like that. So for me, it's also kind of been a holistic thing. Like, and we have developed a bit of a friendship from that. And so, it's really been such a blessing to us both. Yeah.
That was so sweet. Oh, yes, you said something that really hit home for me. It's a commitment. So I think it's just beyond talking to someone through their business. Like you said, you're also interested in the personal aspect of them. I mean, I completely agree with you, because on Friday, my kids didn't go to school, right? So, and it's unusual. They've never missed school. And I told myself that when next I'm going for pickup, I'll tell the teacher, so these guys didn't come to school. You guys did not even try to call me to ask me why, because it's unusual. If they're habitual absentees, I can say, okay, yes, you're used to having them not come often enough, but they didn't come to school on Friday, and you didn't even call me. And then my son had this teacher that, when he was in pre-1, he was a habitual absentee. There was this time that his report card came back 50 days, 50 school days. Out of 50 school days, he was absent for about 28. I felt terrible. But this teacher never failed to call me at every time. I mean, and then I go for pickup. She tells me things like, "Oh, he didn't eat so well. He was dull," or, something like that. I felt inspired. I was encouraged. Like, oh, this teacher is just beyond teaching him how to count and all that. So I just told myself on Monday when I go to school, I'll talk to the admin. I'll tell them, "See, look, I don't like how you guys are running this thing." So, like she said, I mean, teaching, mentoring is just beyond talking to them about their business growth or whatever. It's just checking. I mean, if you have a teacher that cares enough about your health minus the business, it would help you. I mean, like you said, it's holistic. It's an overall aspect of one's life. It's not one without the other. So, Udwak, can you talk to us about how this mentorship program, how your interactions with FEI have helped you over time and influenced your growth in business? And perhaps overall, since we're talking about overall now.
Okay. This program has been a blessing to me, basically. Like, I remember starting this year confused. Literally, I spoke with Pastor Kemi about it. Like, I was confused. I was broken. Motherhood is a lot, especially for first-time moms. It cannot be overemphasized. It is a lot. So I was at that point where I didn't really know what next to do. My life just centered around this girl that I loved so much, but I mean, who am I? So at the beginning of the year, when I heard that life class was starting, I was like, oh, this is my life class. Like, I took it very personal. Like, I knew that this was God giving me a hand out of the water because I was literally almost drowning. So I took every session very serious and personal. I had notes and everything. But when we had the first panel, like Mrs. FEI just said, I actually connected with her, not because of any other thing than the motherhood. Every other person had valid points and made a lot of sense, but they couldn't get how it was with me at that moment, because at that moment I needed someone that could understand where I was, and she was there. So I didn't even know they were going to share us out to, different mentors and all of that. I just actually wanted to learn. Before this year, I've always told my husband that I needed someone to look up to, like someone to be accountable for. It's okay to be doing well with your life, getting married, running a family, but you should also have someone that checks you professionally, spiritually, and otherwise. So I had that nudge to find one, and I did find one. Then this came up, and I was like, oh, it's okay to have more than one. Yeah. So I took the opportunity, and especially because we connected in that area, I met Mrs. FEI, and it has been wonderful, really. Like, I did not expect, honestly, I did not expect. Most times when she's like, sorry, I didn't reply your message, I'm like, I understand, don't worry, because I didn't expect, the constant checkups, the quick response, I would just drop a message and expect, okay, when I see the reply, but it came in almost immediately, and I would say it's a blessing, because without the program, I don't think I would have been able to walk up to Mrs. FEI and say, please, I want you to mentor me. Yeah. So that did that for me, and I do not take it for granted. Sorry, the other part of your question. Oh, yes. So I started a business. I started a business that was just on the surface. So I spoke to her about it. I had this idea. And she was like, okay, do this. Okay, do this, do this. And I was telling my husband, do this, do this. How? How do I do this, do this? Like, I have this, I have that, I need this, I need that. And he was like, let's just do it first and see, and go and report and say, okay, we have done it. What next, And we did that. And she was like, okay, so write this, let me see. And she would cross-check my content. She would tell me, give me ideas on what to post. She would go and view it and tell me what to do the next time. Like I have a business page now. I have a business, and she has even helped redefine it, because when I started it, I just started with, hope, enthusiasm, excitement, and everything. But along the way, we have redefined it to something that I think would really be something for me and her as well. So yes, that has helped me. I've started a business and I'm excited about it.
I'm excited for you too. That's a wonderful testimonial. So, Danny, I don't know why you refused to sign up for any of the mentorship.
I think I'll explain that.
Okay, so over the months, can you give us an insight as to how the discussions, the various speakers have impacted and imparted in you, in how you view your business life, financial life, and of course your social life?
Okay, thank you very much. Well, the thing is, when I was getting up stage, I was thinking she would introduce me like, oh, Danny, he has been an entrepreneur with over 15 years in Harvard, 25 years in Cambridge, and he owns a business worth multi-million dollars. And I was like, Danny, are you there? Okay. So, so the thing is, for me, it's a phase, learning. There's a time where you learn, and there's a time where you apply what you've learned, and there's a time where you build something. It said that wisdom is the principal thing. So get wisdom, though it costs all you have, get understanding. And we know that wisdom is the right application of knowledge. But how can you have knowledge if you're not taught, if experiences are not shared, and if stories are not told? And this is a platform that has handed all this to us. Now, most times when you go for things like this, what you hear is aspire to inspire to presquire to require to, all this stuff. And it's always in the air, it's always in the clouds, and you're excited and you're happy and you're like, yes, I'm going home with something. And you're on fire. And then when you step out of the door and the wind blows, you're like, oh boy, where do I start from? Right? And like the story in the Bible of some seeds fell on good soil, some on rocks, some on stony grounds and all this stuff. You now realize that when you get out of the door, because everything is in the cloud, it's very easy for the wind to blow it. It's very easy for tongues to choke it and stuff like that. But one thing I really appreciate with Life Class is the fact that things are detailed. Things are more personal, right? Things are niched down. So you're not just telling me to build a business because I have an idea. You're giving me steps that can help me to build that business. You're not just telling me, go and get the business done, do this, do this. You're telling me that for me to achieve this, I have to build character. It's not everybody that talks about character. It's not everybody that talks about honing your skills properly, being excellent at what you do. And Life Class gave that opportunity to actually evaluate yourself. I remember that we played, not a game, but we did a self-check. And most of us drew our stuff and realized that, man, we're so low behind. But it's okay. It helps us to know where we want to head to. So for me personally, when I joined Soul City, I was really excited with Life Class because, yes, I love to sharpen my mind. I love to learn. But then when I now traveled in February, around February, May then, one thing I missed about church at that moment was Life Class. I felt like I was missing something. I felt like I was not catching up with the series. I felt like there's something that they're teaching that I need. And then returning, being able to continue, it now helped me to learn stuff. Now, talking about like social capital, a lot of us sometimes start businesses and the first thing we do is to go and find groups that have contact gain. And then we have numbers, but not contacts. So you now realize that you have 1,000 people, and then when you post your business, 5 can't purchase a thing. Or you realize that you have so much numbers, when you need a loan, nobody can hand you. But with Life Class, I have been able to realize that there is people growth, there's people finance. And if I'm able to have contacts, that is meaningful people in my life that can help me move forward, I will see myself projecting with less people instead of having numbers and just being everywhere. I don't know if there's any part of the question I still missed. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think you've done justice to that. I mean, if we can recall, you know how there's been a common denominating factor with all the speakers. They'll tell you you don't need capital, like capital in the real sense to start up. They'll tell you you need value proposition and all of those, well, tech terms they use, but and that's what he's just trying to say. And I completely agree with you because I see some of those things, right? I see people with like 100K followers and then maybe 10 likes, and I'm like, are these not humans? Like, you don't like your friends or your like, I don't even understand. Yeah.
Okay,
So
sorry, you asked me one question. Why I don't have a mentor?
oh, okay, yeah, that was
Okay.
an aside, but yeah,
No,
you
but
could
the
throw
thing is,
more
I have a
light.
mentor. I actually have a mentor, and in the place of mentorship, some years back, I felt like the whole mentorship thing was just like for starters. Oh, I have a mentor. I know this person. You know, that kind of stuff. So I was like, people are just really wasting their time, and it's not everyone that has a mentor that wants to submit. So some people just want it because it gives them access to certain people. But as I grew older and I got to get more knowledge, I realized that mentorship has to do with accountability. Then I realized how I didn't like to be accountable. So my mentor would tell me, do this, do this, do this. And because before I tell myself, do this, it's easy for me to say, let's leave it. But now I have someone to report to, right? So I'm now tasked with doing it. And in the place of mentorship, there's growth. So I actually have a mentor. I wanted to stick with my mentor first and then learn before I jump. Yeah.
I totally agree with you. And, I've always told myself that it's okay to have more than one mentor.
Yes,
You can
sir.
have financial, like right now, Paul Alaja is my financial mentor. Yeah, he seems to know a lot. So, yeah, you can have career mentor. I have a career mentor too. I mean, someone that if I'm having a shitty time or, just want to talk something about work or something, the person is there. So you can have different types. Family mentor as well. I mean, for those that, it's okay to have 10 as long as they're working for you. That's
Sorry,
fine.
I wanted to add on the accountability phase. Okay, so I remember something that happened with me and one of my mentors, not for you, the other one. And she gave me an assignment and I did it. And she was like, oh, wow. Like, the shock that you did it and you were on point. So it actually keeps you on track. Like, it keeps you on track. What you wouldn't have done in a normal day. I remember Faye giving me an assignment. Okay, go and do this. And I'll finish the next day, but I'll just be waiting, Let's not be like, you don't have anything to do. Okay, so yes, it actually really helps for accountability.
Yeah, that accountability part I think is really very important because some people, you can have a mentor that mentor doesn't even realize that he or she is your mentor. I have a lot of those kinds of people on social media. Just like one of the speakers, Lola, said one time that, yeah, well, she didn't call them mentors, she called them sponsors. Yeah, so that's fine. So, Faye, please, we're back to you. So, since you've been in this mentorship program for some time, you've been in the game for some time, can you share share some advice to mentees, on how to maximize their experience as mentees?
Okay, so first of all, I haven't been in this game for that long. Like, I've only been a mentor for a couple of months. You could be people's mentor and you go from a distance, right? True. Okay, so I will just use UD as an example. I think it's so important to be a mentee that is committed. And I could see her commitment right off the bat. So I'm going to just full disclosure. When we were assigned mentees, we were actually each probably assigned about 6 or 7. So I'm here to announce that UD is the last woman standing because I was assigned about 6 mentees and there was a lack of, no shade guys, but shade. There was a lack of commitment from the rest of the mentees. And how can you benefit from a relationship when you are not committed? It is impossible. I'm not going to force it down your throat, In as much as I want to help, I want to support you, you have to be committed. You have to show your commitment and you have to be, you have to be there. You have to be available. It's like in a great house, there are many vessels. You have to be available. If you're not available, how can they pour into you? No, but it's the fact. It's funny, but it's the fact. How can you be poured into when you're not there? Okay, be there first. So
You can't put something on nothing.
You cannot. 0 times a million is still 0. Exactly. Even if you're not there, you're not there. So be there. If you are available, what you can benefit. Okay. If you're there, if you're committed, you can benefit from whatever the relationship brings. Number two is that you 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 bring yourself for a mentorship, but you cannot 100% say what exactly you're getting out from it. Now you can hope that this person will be someone who would hold your hand, talk to you night and day, but it's whatever they are willing to offer that you're going to have to accept. You cannot, say this is how I want the relationship to go, or this is how I want it to run, or these are my expectations. So you have to come with a willing heart, with an openness that whatever they're willing to offer, you're willing to accept. And I'll say finally, you have to have a bit of enthusiasm. And that's one thing I really appreciate about her. Because just as she said, when she says that, she does the task and she's waiting, I can feel that energy. I can feel like, as soon as there's something, she's like, oh, okay, I get it. Like she wants to. And that is really encouraging. And that is why I see that, this relationship or this mentorship is something that can blossom, and for many years to come, this is something that, because once the relationship has started, like there's no going back, and who's to say that there are not other aspects to benefit from. I'm just gonna say one more thing, because I recall that my husband was telling me that Yudi's husband was talking to him, and just discussing in general, just about another aspect of our life. And we were discussing, and he was like, this is really good. Like, we should, build a relationship with them. And that's the beauty of mentorship. Yeah, you don't come with your own intentions. You come with an open mind, hoping that things go well. But if you have the right heart, the right attitude, the sky's the limit. And I remember somebody also said, I think it was during life class, but I will say one of the things is you don't come and start asking for things. You don't come and say, so this is what I need from you. It's similar to what I've said, but I feel like sometimes maybe people think that once you have a mentor, it's your, I don't know, money bag, or is your whatever. Like, you don't come with an agenda, because it is obvious, and you're going to miss out on every other thing that avails you, because you're coming with an agenda and people can smell it from a mile. So if you want to be mentored, you come with an open heart. And it's like, it's also, as I said, it's discipleship. So it's kind of also the same way, like it's a heart posture. It's how we come to God, like, Lord, whatever you have, like, I'm available, I'm willing, I'm here. And the sky is the limit, really. So that's what I'm going to say.
Thank you so much. And just to attest to what you said about her eagerness, I agree that she's eager and quite committed to her commitments, because there was even something she wanted to run by me, and then I say something and immediately I'm like, oh my gosh, this girl, I was more slowing things down even. So yes, I agree. And this isn't me as her mentor. It's just something that she needed my legal perspective on. And I think that's encouraging, because there are also people that come to you to ask for something or ask your opinion about something, and then you're like, okay, maybe you have to do this, and then they wait like a long time, and then they come back to you, I'm like, please, where did we leave off? Because it's been so long, I've forgotten everything. Yeah, so I agree. And that can actually be encouraging, to your mentor. So, Uduak, now I believe that over time, you've garnered some skills, right? And because this session isn't just for you to talk, it's also a means for people to learn, to draw from you. So can you share some, say, skills and techniques you've learned over time during the course of the mentorship?
Okay, so one of it is social media presence. I do not like to be on social media. Like, personally, I would rather just be at the background, posting, writing comments. I can boost your social media for you, put your face, do everything, but not me, not my personal business. I am that kind of person. But I got to learn that if you want to sell something, you are practically selling yourself and not what you're bringing forward. People buy what you have because of you as a person. So they need to connect to you, the person, and not necessarily what you're selling. That's why anybody can sell anything as far as they have the right connections to people. So I had to learn to put myself out there, put my insecurities, put my, you know, things that I may not have normally put out there. I had to learn to put it out there to get the connection and the trust that I need for the business. And then another thing is honesty. You have to be honest. You cannot lie about what, because once you have built that connection or that trust with people, they will take your word for it. And nobody wants to know that they've been lied to or betrayed. Because once someone trusts you, he wouldn't. I can just imagine, okay, now Mrs. Faye wants to buy something that she mentored me on and I'm cheating her. The day she will find out, that's the end of every other thing that, would have been in that relationship or that transaction. So it blocks a lot of things. If you are selling, you should be honest with what you're saying and what you're putting out there. It shouldn't be a lie. So yeah.
Yeah, okay, so just to avoid the case of what I ordered versus what I bought, I got
Yeah.
all of those things. Yeah, I agree. And I think this thing about trust too, let's marry it with what we've learned over time, how they talk about value proposition, is still linked to it. You trust someone. Like there was this time where I made a purchase. I made a deposit actually in millions to someone. I hadn't even seen the thing. And I remember talking to my colleagues and they were like, how do you know? And I'm like, don't worry, I've known this guy like years, even though he's not my friend. I just had one transaction with him and he was so trustworthy in that transaction. And I'm like, I felt at peace. The funny thing is I brought my colleagues. My colleagues too that had never met him. Trust me, they put in their money. So that's the thing they talk about, trust and, value proposition, I think, in the long run. So, Danny, I'm sorry, but I don't know why. Anytime I see you, first thing, honestly, first and only thing that comes to my mind is to call you Danny Boy. I don't know. He has this boyish looks, Like, I don't know how old you are, but I just feel like you're cheating nature and it's so unfair. So, yeah, so, can you share takeaways? I have a lot of takeaways, but like I said, it's also an opportunity for the rest of us, including me, to learn. So can you share specific takeaways that have stuck with you, maybe from a particular speaker or even all of the speakers if you have?
Wow, Sunday shades. Okay, it's okay. Wow, wow. Okay. For me, I would say one thing that rings in my ear constantly is what Dr. Kayode said, one of his classes, reputation for value. I'm like, okay. So I think someone asked, how can you get capital? And he said the problem is you don't need capital, you need value. And you need to have a reputation that can harness that value. And then I begin to think, reputation for value. I felt like maybe we should even have a whole life class session that is reputation for value, because it's really quite ambiguous and it's very stern. So for me, that has been what's always ringing in my ear, reputation for value. So as I go back most Sundays, I ask myself, how can I build a reputation? What value do I have? Most of the mentors mentioned, or the speakers rather, mentioned that you need to have value to offer. And in our society today, everyone talks about how they want to make money, how they're chasing money, the rat race, how they need to get money for this, money for that, money. And at a point, I stopped to ask, is that all that life has to offer? Just chasing money, money, money. Because when you check it, even those that have the money are still chasing money, if you put it in that term. But then I realized that there's a mistake we all make, which the speakers mentioned, where you don't chase money, but you make money to chase you. So there are people that may be in this hall, and then they have some reach outs. For example, let's say you're into the food business, and your price is already at 500K for an event. At that point, you will not really be looking at 100K, 20K discussions, but it's still money. Now, there's another person who is chasing money, that once he says, oh, my price is 50K. Can we do 15? No, sir, we'll do 20. Let's do 15. Okay, sir, I'll take the job. You're chasing money and you realize that you keep doing that whole thing. But then this other person at 500 has built a reputation for value. So you know that once this person is coming to your event, it's like, oh my God, she's the one that did the cake, she's the one that did the food, wow. And then
And then that person can be in a hall too. And there are people that are contacting her for jobs of that 500K, and she's like, no, I need to rest. Sorry? Rest? Do you understand? So there are people that don't sleep because they're chasing money. There are people that have created value where money chase them. Some travel, some enjoy their life, and they're still getting alerts. The other day I was talking with my guys in the house. I was like, do you know that there are people that have turned off their bank notifications because virtually every minute it's bloop, 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 and it's alert. It's not even 20K, it's not even 50K. So these people, what they just look for is bank statement. But here are some of us who, when our phone will vibrate, we're like, okay, okay, it's from MTN. And then it vibrates again. Oh, you can win trivia today. Send 5 naira to be this. Do you understand? But I think to myself, there's another person who has built so much value. When I came to Abuja, because I do acoustic therapy, music for relaxation, rejuvenation, and healing. And then I was thinking to myself, will people ever pay to sit down and listen to music? Now I don't mean concerts, I don't mean the stuff, the type that maybe the big guys do. Will people actually sit down to listen to this stuff? And while I was there deliberating about it, if people will come, I stumbled on an Instagram page. And just for their 30-minute session of relaxing, their ticket is 25K. Okay, I'm still questioning if people will pay anything. Someone is charging 25K. And there are other people that charge up to 100 for a single session. I'm like, okay, so what's the difference between me and them? Is the reputation and the value they offer. Do you understand? So you might have good value to offer, but you don't have the reputation. And then the speakers now outline this thing. For me to have a reputation, I need character. I need to be trustworthy. I need to have sense. I need to be excellent in my skill. In this side of the world, most people don't look at excellence. So they just do stuff. I'm a videographer. You just video people anyhow. You can't tell a story with your angles. You can't tell a story with your lightning. You just do stuff and post it. And you're like, guys, I'm a videographer. And then, how long have you been doing it? Over a decade. But yet, there's nothing to show for. So a lot of people don't think excellence. Another set of people I want to talk about is people that have handwork. I used to get angry because someone repairs, let's say, television, and then you tell the person, I'm coming to get, no, when can I pick it? Come Tuesday next week. And Tuesday next week, you get there, how far? Oh boy, that your TV, where even they, waiting even talk, say they worry the TV safe. But I thought you told me to come and pick it on Tuesday next week. And then I realized that there are people like that who, their appliances have been there for 6 months. Mechanics is the same thing. Okay, your vehicle is ready. You come for your vehicle, they've not even touched it. The way you packed it is the way it is. So this is no excellence in business. But there's another person who tells you Tuesday next week. And by Monday or by Friday, he's like, sir, your stuff is ready. Yeah. Do you understand? So he has built character. Tomorrow, if he tells me it will be ready, I will believe. Like you said now, the person that you sent money to is because to an extent there's a reputation. Yeah. You won't just send money to somebody. So even if it's 10K, you won't just send money to somebody. So character, purpose. A lot of times we're just running carelessly. We want to be everywhere, and we don't have purpose. I feel like purpose is what defines your drive, outlines your vision, and where you're heading to. So me again, now the kind of music I do is wild because people don't value it or people don't know about it. So like niching down. And then when I talk to people about it, like, okay, what is that? Okay. So most times I get the, chief, you just waste your time for this place. Just come on. Now there was somewhere I wanted to perform. It was like a dream for me to get to that place. And then guess what? I finished doing what I was doing, and then I came down from that fine big stage depressed. I'm serious. I couldn't. Don't do that. So I couldn't even speak to my mentor about it because I sent them mails. I got the opportunity. I was happy. It was a big stage. It was platform. What we all want. And then I came down depressed. Why? I finished. I walked out. Someone was like, God, what you did was so good. I've never heard anything like that. It's amazing. But, it's not our thing. You're just wasting your time here. You should get to do it somewhere else more. Maybe just travel out. Okay. And then the way they also got me on stage to do it was very chaotic. It was everywhere. So I now realize that, man, it's not as easy. But what keeps me in that system is because I know the purpose to which I was given. So as we do business, it's very important to have a purpose-driven life. So that today you're not doing cakes, tomorrow you're doing pastries, next tomorrow you're doing food, the other day you're now selling thrift wares, another day you're selling shoes, bags, hair, and guys, buy my stuff. Thrift wares are available. Every time on your status we're seeing a different stuff. So we can't say you have built this. So yeah, thank you. Let me stop there.
Wonderful. I don't know, Danny, how did we miss you when we were thinking of mentors, really? Because this is like a whole new chapter, but you've said a lot of interesting things. But I'd like to know, because this thing you said about people not knowing their worth, because it's a thing, really. I'm sure I've had a lot of people who've spoken to that, okay, maybe they tell us this is the price. And just because they didn't hear back from us almost immediately, they're scared and they're like, oh, ma, but I'm open to negotiating. How much do you have? Those kinds of things. It makes me feel sorry for them anyways, but what advice do you have for those people? Like, how can you infuse the spiritual aspects? Because I feel like some of them are, well, maybe they feel like they're neither here nor there, so.
Okay, I haven't figured out mine. I won't lie. But there's something I know, and I think Dr. Paul also mentioned it, and so I think Dr. Gary too, some other speakers. Most times we think the way to being paid is through money alone. And someone talked about the different kinds of money, right? So it's something I still employ. There are people that I will charge. I will tell you it's like this and take it or leave it. There are people that I know doing this for them buys me their time, or buys me their access, or buys me their referral. There are those that I know that when I do this for them, I get something else. So sometimes I weigh it, which one is more important for me at the time. We all need money, but money is not the solution to like everything. Or there are things we can do without having money. Do you understand? So by God's grace, there are places I have managed to enter, and when I finished entering there and I went to my drank Gary, do you understand? But I was with real fine people. People that, oh my God. There was one guy I mistakenly peeped into his account when he wanted to make transfer. I was like, Jesus. My mom would say, does he have two heads? So I was like, oh my God. But you keep your composure and let it not look like you're poor. Do you understand? Or you're hungry. Do you understand? So we'll still discuss at that level. We'll still try to interact. But I know that there's something I want from him. And as I think Dr. Coyote said again, what can I exchange? So most times we come to people with the mind of, I want something. But the best way to go is, what can I give to get something? That's the whole value stuff. So if, to answer that question, I'm still trying to find my own self with that whole work thing. But then I get more confident. Another thing is, I would say the Holy Spirit. Someone called me and he wanted me to do something for him. And when he said, how much do you charge? In my head, I was already scouting. What will I tell this guy? My mind was going, okay, if I tell him 200, is it too much? If I tell him 150, is it too much? And in that whole chaos, I was just beating around the bush, just trying to think to give him an answer because he was on phone call. And that whole chaos, I just felt a nudge. Don't charge him. So God, what is this now? Will I die? How will I go and meet him? How will I do this stuff? How will we work together? And what I heard was, don't charge him. Let it be open to what he can do for you. I'm still waiting on God to see what he will do for me, right? but the thing is, being able to obey the Holy Spirit at that time, you don't know what God is cooking. So don't be the first to throw in the salt.
Sorry, I would like to add, this thing about money, it's a trick. I would like to say it's a trick. I'm not really excited about plenty money like that. It's just normal. It's not like my father was very rich or something, but I just don't used to be hyped and super excited about plenty money. But I knew that it was important. And then I was trying to get a hold around this whole thing because I remember one time we were having workers meeting or sold. yeah, our disciple class, and Pastor Kemi said something about this money thing is easy. It's you that don't know how to handle it. You get so. I was just thinking, how like what is the mystery behind this? And Pastor Gori came and just cleared that for me. He was like, money was not created when Jesus, like God did not create money. It's we men that brought that as another means of exchange. They were actually exchanging things for things. Then there was a means before money came. Yeah. So what was that thing? And then it made me realize that we're just beating ourselves. And after the whole classes that he taught us, the different classes of exchange or types of money, money is actually the least. And really, when you have 1 million naira in your account and it finishes, that's the end. Like, that's the end. So, but when you have a relationship with someone that is somewhere that doesn't even need to spend a dime to get you what you want, just a phone call, that is endless because you can always call that person up. When I had that understanding or that understanding, it gave me peace more, and then made me realize that really we are just pursuing things that we are not actually supposed to pursue. Like, we're pursuing the wrong things, we are focusing on the wrong things. The question you asked about linking it spiritually, there are some times that God actually wants to know that he can manage you. If I give you this, will you be able to give it back? So sometimes, like the example he gave when he said God told him not to, he wants to know if it's money, Abi, you want to spread the word. Because every talent God gives in your hand is based on your capacity. He knows what you can do with it to preach the gospel. Let's not forget that. We are believers, in everything you find yourself doing, you are supposed to preach the gospel in it. It could be even your healing therapy. You finish and you just say, Jesus loves you, and you walk away. So there is always something that God wants, a message that God wants to pass with whatever it is that is in your hands. But we are too focused on how we will eat this night. It's not easy to start. Hunger is terrible. Let's not make it seem casual. But we should not also forget the most important things, which is preaching the word, which is connecting, which is the right relationships. It is all of that before money.
I agree with you. It still boils down to this thing. It's about social capital. Some of our names. Mine too is somehow linked to it, but there's this Igbo name I really like. They say Maduburihe. It's like saying that somebody, people, people means something. I don't know how to put it. I don't know how to translate it. But yeah, pretty much saying that it's like if you're down, you need someone to talk to. You can't talk to your money. You can talk to people that would lift you, uplift you emotionally and spiritually, right? Yeah, yeah. Even though they say it's better to cry in a Lamborghini than Mrs. Faye, now over to you. I know this mentorship thing. I don't know, but for some people, it might take a toll on them. And for you wearing many hats, you're rocking the mom life, you're rocking your business, and of course, it's family life. I like to think that there are times when you have challenges. Can you share some so that we know that, these people, they have their struggles and they're real?
Okay, so I remember that when UD came to me the first time and we started to talk and, just connected based on this mom aspect of our lives. I said, you're going to take it one step at a time. Trust me, when you have, and especially the first baby, I think the first child just turns your life as a woman, just bamboozles you, like you are not even, you can't even find your bearing. You don't see it coming. Nobody can explain it to you until it hits you. Like, it just turns your life upside down. And so I said, I know exactly how you feel, and I can say that. Just take it one step at a time. I started my business. Actually, I had my first show in Paris. I was in Paris when I had my first show, and I came back to Nigeria. I was pregnant at the time, and I thought, oh, I just dropped this baby, forge ahead. We're going to be... Listen, it was not the case. I was blindsided. I was like, hey, what hit me? I was confused. When they say flabberwhelmed and overgasted, like I did not see it coming. Because I really had all these aspirations and I thought I was going to be, But my daughter came and she took over. It's the same way you were saying, like, you have this person you love, but who am I outside of this person? It took me, after I had my daughter, of course, I couldn't do anything. It took me about a year to get myself. Then I had my son. Then we were back to square one. And I just want to say that as this is a challenge as a woman. I love how business is so interesting, and I love it when I see male speakers come and they But you see, it's a whole different story as a woman. Whether it is your career trajectory or it is your business, entrepreneurship, the years it takes out of your life. Listen, you cannot even, you have no idea. And so, for me, it is something that I have learned to take one day at a time. Another thing is that I look at myself and comparison, right? They who compare themselves among themselves, as the Bible says, like, we're not supposed to compare. Because I look at social media. Oh my God, social media, you guys. Social media is such an interesting place. I look at people and I'm like, this person, and they'll come and tell you, last year I made 500 million naira. Whether they made it whether they did not make it but what I've come to realize is that I have no peers. I love the way that woman puts it that day. I have no peers because honestly, I focus on my focus and I put my eyes on God, because it's very easy to feel like I'm not where I thought I would be. Like, the years, child raising has taken out of my life, or the year being a mom, I'm not really where I thought I would be. And that's why when I told you, when Dr. Moody said, Faye, I was like, I don't really think I'm anywhere near there. But the important thing is to take it one day at a time. And especially as a woman, I will say especially as a woman, give yourself some grace. Like, don't beat yourself up about it. I have, seen a lot of people in business who, it seems like we started out together. Even people that I know personally, and I'm like, they seem to be doing so much better. But I'm like, you know what, Lord, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm like, God, my eyes are on you. My eyes are on you, because God has a different story for everyone. I'm going to give an example of Joseph. When Joseph started out, he had a dream. I have a dream. Like, God, it's a dream. Like, God is going to honor me. Like, look at the sun, the moon, the stars, everybody's bowing down in front of me. Next thing, my brother lands in slavery, in a pit, into slavery for 13 years. 13 whole years after having such a dream. Like, okay, what is there? Like, 13 years. I'm sure the first year when he got in, he was like, don't worry, small time, small time. I have a dream. I have a God. Small time, small time. First year passes, second year. And then he lands in jail. God, how far now? But you see, the thing about God is faithful. He's consistent. And that's why I love that this is in context of church, because I'm sorry, I can't really say anything outside of the context. It's me and God that are in the business together. That's what I always say. So, but God is a God of processes and suddenly. That's how I see God. God is a God of processes and suddenly. Because it's like, Joseph was like, anybody who saw Joseph will say, this guy was in prison yesterday, today he's prime minister. But do you know the process that God had taken him through? You just think that. And so for me, I'm like, you can be in this walk with God for 10 years and nothing is happening. Then suddenly, and that's the beauty of God. And so for me, I have so much peace. I'm like, God, as far as we're doing this together, this is, in fact, my eyes are on you. And so with all these challenges that I face, or with these things that make me feel like, we're not quite there yet. But I take solace in the fact that God knows what he's doing. I'm not walking with a fool. Like, I'm walking with a God who knows and who is also capable. So, it's like, say, for example, a person is on the edge of a cliff. Say, for example, I'm on the edge of a cliff. And, and I need somebody to save me. But let's say my husband is at home and he doesn't know that I'm on the edge of the cliff and I need help. So he's not aware. Or let's say my mom is there, but she's not strong enough. Or let's say maybe a stranger is there, but the stranger doesn't really send me like that. But you see, I have a God who is not only aware, he's aware, he is strong enough, and he is willing. And so when you are on this walk with God, it makes me rest assured. So regardless of all the challenges I face, especially in the business, because a lot of times I feel like maybe I don't even know what I'm doing. Like, what am I doing? Like, it's picking it up one day and doing this one step at a time. But you have a God and you have the Holy Spirit, who is the ultimate strategist. And with him on your side, honestly, the sky is the limit. It might seem like it's taking long, but he's a God of processes and he's a God of suddenly. And so that keeps me joyful, keeps me motivated, keeps me enthusiastic because, he created me and this for a purpose and a vision. And so that just helps me, honestly.
Awesome. So think, think, think God of process, think God of suddenly. That's awesome. So the audience, Danny, the audience, and Uduak. So can we just have your final thoughts in like 30 seconds? It's just a take home for everyone listening.
Okay. My take home is mentorship is good. It is. It's. Even the Bible says, older women guard the younger ones. Older men watch over the younger men. It is recognized in the Bible because it is good. It helps you balance a lot. It gives you motivation. It pushes you in a way that you wouldn't even imagine. So I would like to encourage. I remember before this year, a lot of people say, "Oh, I have this mentor, I have this coach, I have this." I'm like, you people safe, like Daniel said, people just say it so that they will know that you know this person, just status level. But what Life Class did was to bring it closer, make it more personal, and it has meant a lot. My year, I'm a different person. That's just what I know for certain, that if the year runs out today, I know that I have achieved so much this year already.
Okay, to add to what you said, the Bible said, when the Lord turned the captivity of Zion, we're like them that dreamed. You get as God will take bless you, you go shock. Do you understand? So it's about staying in the process. And for me, it's what I've learned with the whole, it's very easy to, the Bible says there's a hope and a future. The thoughts I have towards you are thoughts of good and not of evil, to give you an expected end. So there's an expected end, there's a good place. The problem is staying to get there. So there's something God also taught me, that there are some people that their journey is crawling. Some are running, some are walking, some are driving, some are flying. So if I'm crawling and I'm looking at the guy flying, and I begin to compare myself, oh my God, this guy is going to get to the US in like 13 hours, and I'm crawling, I'll get there in like 25 years. I begin to compare myself with that person. And something happens. Either I now stop crawling and start looking for how to fly, but that's not what God wants me to do. Now, if I am able to keep moving in that process, it's God that gives a man speed. So there was someone in the Bible that ran faster than a chariot. How? Because God gave him speed. So for us today, I'll encourage everyone to stay in their process, not in the process, in their process. Everyone has their own process. There are some people here that you will meet someone that will put you on that table. There are some, like Joseph, that will go to the prison. God, please let me not go to prison. I cannot stay there. Go to prison, and then, because you can't even understand how he was in prison. First, he had the option of being with a woman that would give him that level, which he would have remained maybe all his life or even falling. And then he stays in prison, and all of a sudden, he's like the chief of Egypt. And he saved generations to come. So the thoughts I have towards you are thoughts of good and not of evil. Yeah.
I totally agree. What they say about comparison being the thief of joy. So yeah, we get to compare ourselves many times that we forget that we all have different races and we can't all be on the same page at the same time. But as long as you're in purpose, you have to stay focused on your focus. More like, so Q&A time, guys. Do we have questions for them here? They're ready for you. You said no. Okay, Dr. Kaidi has a question.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, I have questions for all of them. Thank you.
They're ready for you.
Yes, thank you. Dr. Fee, okay.
Doctor.
All right. Fee.
I know that thing.
Thank you.
Doctor of business.
Yes, well, I love your warmth, and well, maybe I should learn a few things about that. But it's nice. Thank you. And I think while you were explaining around your business and your child bearing period, what came to my mind was my wife. So I have 4 children. Maybe we don't appreciate that process enough. But I think you brought it to light. The question I want to ask is, first, has your husband been supportive? If he has, I guess he is. Well, again, but I want to ask you directly. Then secondly, what does your husband do that makes you think he's that supportive? Because, I hear there are different languages. I don't know which one I'm speaking. But if I hear directly from you what he does specifically, maybe some of us can learn a few things from there. Then, okay, should I just ask all my questions?
Yes.
All right, then, to you, madam. Thank you, really. So I love to see superstars. It's not really very difficult. The way they've spoken about you, you stand tall. And I love to see people like that. I have people I work with. I wake up every morning praying for them to do beyond what I would do, really. So, but why are you different? Do you have an explanation? Because I try to look for those things. So first of all, one of my people that I work with sent a message to a senior person in our team that she's discouraged. She doesn't think she can do it. So I get to think, am I driving them too hard, or am I? But again, you have to drive them too hard because a single mistake can pull out a lot of resources from you. So what do you think? Why are you different? Why are you off the hook? If you have an explanation to that, and why do you submit assignment quickly? So maybe we could learn from that, and then I can be able to replicate it in my teammates' life. Then to you, Daniel, thank you so much. You said you walked down the stage depressed. Right. So what did you do to get up? Did you ever get up? And then maybe, although to everybody, because we've mentioned competition, for me, competition does this different thing to me. I compare. Mark Zuckerberg is 34, is 40, he will be 41 this year. We are age mates. And we are age mates in age. So I have this picture on my wall. He's 41. I'm 40, I'll be 41 next Sunday. Competition does a separate thing to me. It doesn't, I compare. But I compare so that I know I need to run. Competition doesn't depress me. In fact, if I don't have competition, I'm concerned. If I have small trouble, I try to look for bigger trouble because that's the only thing that wakes me up. So to every one of you, I know we've said, don't compete, God has his space. You mentioned a very nice phrase, stay not in the process, but in your process. So at what point do you look at other people's progress and use it to gauge whether you are slow, or because some people are just plain lazy and they hang it on God? Hey, don't allow those type of people in your life, really. Know that God too can be very active. So we will need to be able to also know when to know you are lazy or you are just waiting on God. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Kayode. Okay, so I'll just answer the first one that you said to everyone about competition. So my thing, I think, with competition is I take it as motivation, similar to what you said. So for example, one of my things that I'm wanting now is a new house. And there's this, I have a relative whose house we go to once in a while, and she has a beautiful house, like a big, beautiful house. And so I am desiring of a house. So what I do when I would go to a house is I look at it and I'm like, so how do I want my own house to look? So this is what I'm gonna change. And for me, I think that's one way I kind of sidestep that whole, like, I don't know, jealousy, in a sense, and wanting what someone has. My strategy is I take it as, if someone can have it, I can have it. And so I'm just, it's kind of like how, God told Abraham to step out of the tent and look up. For me, it's my look up moment. It's like when it's also, I guess in the same way it applies to business. It's my look up moment. So I'm not in competition with them, but it's my look up moment. And I'm like, okay, so what do they have? Okay, so when I get to this stage, this is how I want mine set up. And for me, that's really my strategy. That's how I take it. Also just being, I take it as a moment to touch tangibly what I'm aspiring to, what I want. That's what it is for me. Okay. Now, with regards your initial question to me, yes, my husband was very supportive and is always still very supportive. I think the first way he was supportive is by being my odoku, by being my money bag, because it really helps in that when I'm not working or when I'm not, running my business, when I was in that whole phase where I couldn't really do anything, he never like withdrew anything from me, and he's very supportive. And I think, of course, in the best ways that you can, just to put it in context, in ways that you can support your wife, is he never made me feel like, you are lagging behind or you are lazy or what are you doing, because obviously I'm a very self-motivated person as well, and I think he can tell. And I think maybe it's one of the reasons why we're such a good match. But he never made me feel like, okay, why you need to step up to it, or you need to get on it, or stand up, or even when maybe someone else is trying to, maybe his relatives or somebody's like, he's like, please just take it easy, like don't like ignore them, And so for me, that is how he's been supportive. He's always been encouraging me. He's always like, even if I decide today that, okay, you know what, I feel like God is leading me to close this business, he'll be like, that's great, so we'll close it, and God like, so that for me, just being home, really. Some people, I guess also people are different, but I think the important thing is to know how best she likes to be supported, because there are some people who, like, maybe when they're home, they want somebody who's pushing them, like, get on it. But I don't like that. I want to be rested. I want to feel at ease, and he is that person. He understands me. I think so. The key point really is, it depends on what your wife wants. Like, how can she be supported? And that's something obviously that just needs a bit of communication. Like, so how would you be like to be supported? So what can I do? Do you need me to assist you here? Or so what is the plan? And really just communication and supporting them in the way that they would best like to be supported is the key.
Okay, to answer my question, I would like to give credit to two people. One is good and one was not so good an experience, but it brought out this attribute. So one is my dad. My dad is a punctual freak. If service is supposed to start by 7, my dad wants to be here 6:45. He will come and sit and wait for the pastor, He was that person. So we grew up in a home where, even though it did not concern us, we have to be there on time. So I had that upbringing. But then the other story was one of my terrible bosses, or my only terrible boss, I think. And she brought out the attribute of not just submitting assignments on time, but making sure it was the right thing. There is another thing. Submitting the wrong thing on time is another flaw. Yeah. So you, in the process of not wanting to offend her, you would submit something and miss one or two things. So she'll be like, you didn't check this, you didn't check that. It traumatized me. It was a terrible experience for me as a person. I was traumatized, but I know that I left that experience with the ability to be able to checkmate everything, like make sure everything was touched and is submitted on time. Well, trauma is not a good thing. It's never a good thing.
Please, can you have the mic?
Is it the person's issue?
Yes.
Or you have not built enough strength to handle? Because you said the person traumatized you, and yet it brought out that detailed part. You cannot fly a plane without dotting the I's and crossing the T's. So, which would you prefer? For somebody to be hard on you and draw out that part of you that can convenient. The reason why planes are commercialized is because the details are dotted. Or somebody who pats you behind, sees your weakness, and leaves you the way you are. So
Okay, so I would want to use my
he's
mentor.
your good boss. I'm just trying to tell you, he's the best boss you've ever had.
Dr. Kaya,
No,
the trauma
no.
is trauma,
No.
honestly. You can't determine someone's
Yes,
response to
yes,
trauma or
yes,
how you
yes,
feel.
no.
Or maybe trauma is not the word. If maybe that's what we're talking about.
No,
But if
it
trauma
was.
is the
I
word.
was.
Yes, if trauma
traumatized.
is the word for you, then trauma is trauma, really.
I would want to say that there is always a right way to pass any information. There is always a right way. So, like, for example, you said Mrs. Feyi is so warm. She communicates. She, passes the information. She corrects. She has corrected me in my work with her. But I was never traumatized. I don't know if you understand. There is a
Correct
way.
with kindness. That's
There
what
is,
you mean.
yes, there is a way you can actually correct a person with love.
Without sacrificing the relationship.
Without insults. I was insulted. The only thing that woman did
Dehumanized,
not
makes
do
you feel
was
less of
to
yourself.
touch me, like lay a hand on me. And that was traumatic. And I would not recommend that for anyone. No matter the after effects.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Kayode, for the question. Okay, you asked me how I came back from the depression state. Well, it took me a few days, right? But as I said earlier on, when you know what you should be driving at, a place of purpose, you have to stand up. And the truth is, nothing good comes easy. So I know that if I'm not facing challenges, I can't have a story. And if I just keep going, it's all rosy, like, we all pray for that. But when I'm speaking to people, I have nothing to tell them. Do you understand? So if I just come here and say, guys, I'm the biggest guitarist in the world, and there's no way to say how I got there. So, okay, cool, nice. But because I have something, there's someone that will be encouraged. And I learned something again. God takes us through experiences first for him, for you, and for others. So experiences to draw you to him, experiences to teach you and make you stronger, and then experiences to teach and pull others. So if I'm going through an experience, I'm sorry if you're sick, God will heal you. Amen to that. But God can keep you in that sickness for you to learn something, to draw you to him, and then to learn for yourself, and then for others. Now, okay, I don't want to talk too long, but the whole acoustic therapy thing is crazy. I knew why I was sick for more than 5 years. I'm saying this. I was on drugs every single day for more than 5 years. And it was told to me that if you have this challenge, you will take it for life. Here's the thing. Now I can talk about making plans. Then in my life, I don't make plans because it's useless. I will wake up by 7. I may pass out by like 7:30 till the evening. I'm off. It's crazy. It's crazy. But after I overcame that issue, I knew why God put me there. And it's now something I can tell to others to help. So I came out of depression because I know what I should be doing. And then I know that sitting in the depression doesn't get me anywhere. Do you understand? And I know that nothing is easy. People will talk to you crazily. People will handle you crazily and stuff like that. Then about the comparison you said, the Bible says he who compares himself is not wise. But we can draw lessons from people. If I say because, oh, I play the guitar this certain way, I'm in my process, and then I don't learn from others, I'm stupid. So sometimes too, the way you look at Mark, I also look at some guitarists, I'm like, how did these guys get there? What can I do to get there? And then in my what can I do to get there, I ask myself, is it in line with what God told me? So there are some people here that may want to have a film school. A film, whatever, like Tyler Perry, right? You now use him as your yardstick. You look at his story, you study him. I study Mark too, I study other people. You study him, but then while studying them and seeing what they did to get there, you infuse it in yours while still being on your own process. So yours now, God might have told you that in the years to come, you will not just have a film place, you might have a film state. I will not be limiting myself because I see Tyler Perry today with a film studio, and then I say, oh, he's big, I want to be big like him. I start chasing his own dreams. Why God is taking me to own a state, I am following the dreams of Tyler Perry. Do you understand? So I have left, but I can draw lessons from him to run my own race. And please, before I drop the mic, I wanted to just read, a songwriter said, because it makes you chase what's not meant to be chased, because you've possessed it all along. It comes to steal and hide what is real. Comparison kills. You spend all night admiring pictures. They make life look perfect as they should, but you don't know the picture's story and how long it took to make it good. It makes you consider shoes you don't like, but when the shoe doesn't fit, wear what you will, despite how you feel. Comparison kills. The grass was fine till it looked greener on the other side. Now you're believing that you fell behind. But why try to match what should be one of a kind? You're one of a kind. So while I'm trying to wear Dr. Kayode's shoe, it's not my size. But I want to wear nice shoes like him. So I'll ask you, where did you buy your shoe from, and get my size?
What happens when you're dealing with an artist, you see? He answers from an artist's point of view. So I'll just quickly say something. I'll speak to your question about being competitive. I think for a business person, it's okay to be competitive, but for me, I also think that there's a thin line between being competitive, like overly competitive, and being, say, jealous or envious, because there's a thin line. So how do you draw that line? That's it for me. So for me, I see it also in the workplace, right? The people that they're just they're ready to run you down. They're ready to run someone else down that they think that person is competition for them. And I don't understand it. Even me sometimes when, I can be desirous of something and someone else has it before me, I'm like, oh, I'm happy for you, and I'm like, God, okay, I want this too, and I'm happy for you. But, you pray, even if you have that tinge of, you say, envy or jealousy, pray it out. Like, pray it away as quickly as, because it's not easy for it to fester. And then it begins to cause something else. And then when you talked about your wife and, helping out, I'm a strong advocate for work-life balance. It's something I still struggle with. But I also think that, just like she said, communicate. It's important for you to love people the way they want to be loved, help people the way they want to be helped. Because sometimes you think you're loving on someone or you're helping them, but in actual sense, you're probably just in their way and upsetting them the more. So how may I help you is a question I always ask people. It's like even someone coming to talk to you about something, trying to pour out to you or vent. Sometimes all they want is for you to listen. Don't go and start forming advice. It can be upsetting. I just want to talk. Don't advise me. If I want advice, I'll tell you, please advise me. So stuff like that. We're out of time, but because he's our life class member, I would accommodate him. One question. Oh, there's Pastor Kemi. Okay, would accommodate 2 questions. Pastor Kemi, no, you can ask, and then you had the mic. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Good morning, church. My name is Richmond. Actually, I just want to give like a 2 minutes. It's not really a question. It's just a 2-minute contribution to.
We don't have 2 minutes.
Okay, 1 minute. To the trauma thingy, because Mrs. Otaro gave an example of Joseph. Joseph is just a perfect example for this trauma thingy, because what's more traumatizing than pit and prison? And I have a very favorite phrase, which is, some things must happen for some things to So there's no way that Joseph can get to the palace. There's no way that he can be prepared for the palace unless he goes through that traumatic, in quote, experience. That's just my 2 cents.
Perspective, yeah, your perspective. So you're going to ask a question. Okay, so we've come to the end of the session. Thank you guys so much for making it as interactive as possible. Honestly, I thought we were going to have so much more time, and I told myself we'll pray because we're not praying enough as a church. So we'll pray. So thank you guys. See you guys next Sunday. Thank you. Is someone going to help us with the chair? Thank you.
Praise God. Wow. Oh, come on, if you were blessed, can you put your hands together one more time? Hallelujah. You know, do you know what was going through my mind as I was sitting there? We get people for this church, oh. Like, people did this church, man. There are people in this church, and it's, honestly, I find it's really inspiring, because who knew? Naifa, thank you for giving people like Danny Mike to talk, and Uduak. Because if you do not put them on the spot now, we won't have been as blessed as we were. And just really seeing it from people's perspectives, what they've been taking out of life class, I think it's a really amazing. It was amazing. I was really blessed. I was thoroughly blessed, and again, I'm just really grateful that I'm in this church. Okay, so I wanted to emphasize a few things and then maybe share my thoughts as well on Dr. Kaede's questions. You know, that's his MO. He has to scatter ground. If he doesn't, then he thinks outside the box, and I think that's one of the reasons why you're so successful in business, because you can't group think and innovate. You have to think differently. So the speaker spoke about the importance of mentorship. They spoke to how important accountability is and commitment. So it helps you to be accountable. So for some of those dreams and visions and things that you want to achieve with your life that you haven't gotten started with yet, a mentor could help you take the right steps and do the right things and then start to get the results that you need. And then commitment. Uduak apparently is the model mentee. So if you're looking to be a good mentee, because I'm a very bad mentee, to be honest. I think I could do better with drawing more out of my mentors. And what she said about how her upbringing helped her do that. And I'll speak to the trauma thing as well towards the end. Danny spoke about reputational value. One of the first persons to coin that term in life class was actually Dr. Kaede, and spoke about how you don't need money to start a business. You don't need money to take the right steps. All you need is the right reputation. People will bank on your reputation because they know you. And there's a very clear example for this. In my own professional life, I think I've said this before here, that all of the jobs I've gotten have been based on referrals. People recommended me. People said, I know this person, and then so I was working somewhere, I was recommended, I was working there. The person there recommended me to the person who hired me after that. The person there recommended me to the person who hired me after that. So I'm waiting for my next recommendation for my next level. Right, so reputational value. And you build reputational value by being excellent, being consistent, being reliable. So if you are a plumber in the house, no, is it plumbers? Or is it, no, I think it's tailors that struggle with reputation, right? What you ordered versus what you get, or you go to the shop and they have not even cut your clothes. You're like, madam, we don't almost finish it up, but they have not cut it yet. The fabric is still intact inside the nylon. Yeah, so reliability. Then someone else also said purpose defines your drive, it outlines your vision, it keeps you going. And Danny already spoke to how he came out of depression because he was a man of purpose. And I want to quote what he said. He said, you don't know what God is cooking. Don't be the first to throw in the salt, because it might be too salty, you'll not be able to eat it. And then the other thing about value is that you exchange value for value. And I think it was when it was in Uduak's perspective of what Pastor Gori taught about money and how money is a means of exchange. It was men who came up with it. And before then, people just exchanged value for value. So as you interact with people, what can I give to this person to potentially get what I need? And money is the least of the things that you can exchange. And then somebody said, God is a God of processes and suddenly. Drink that. And then to that bit about, sorry, I'm taking a bit more time than I thought I would. To that bit about what to eat and how important it is and how you have to not think about it and think more about value instead of thinking about how much you'd be paid. I would just like to add that the antidote to getting overwhelmed with the money that you get or the resources that you get from the exchange that is happening is Matthew 6:33. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these other things will be added unto you. If you read the book of Matthew because God already knows the things that you need, whether it's food, what you will eat, what you will wear. See, let's not kid ourselves. I tend to say this a lot. I don't know why I say it a lot these days, but let's not kid ourselves about this, right? Your needs won't be met because you're thinking about them. You have to stop worrying about them for those things to be added to you. God is not going to change the order just because you feel uncomfortable and because you don't trust him. He's not going to change that principle or change the order of things because you don't trust him or because you're struggling or because you're crying or because you're angry at him. You have to not worry about those things. You have to seek him first, then they will chase after you. That order will never change. So if you've not gotten that muscle in yet, that's one thing you absolutely should prioritize. And then the other thing I also wanted to mention is, now the competition and comparison, that they are two different things too. Competition and comparison are two different things. Comparison is you checking between two things, what is similar and what is different. And the reason you should never do that is because you are one of a kind. You cannot compare yourself with anybody. You are one of a, there's no basis for comparison. None. That's why it's a very stupid thing to compare yourself with someone else who has different skill sets, who has a different background. We heard from Pastor Adesoya. You cannot be, for example, Dr. Kaide cannot be comparing himself with a Dangote or Mark Zuckerberg. Mark had a very different start to his life. You can't compare yourself to Mark. You're not American. You didn't start Facebook in school. You started your business maybe, I don't know, after vet school, after spending 7 years in university maybe, worked for a bit. There's no basis for comparison. But competition is different. Competition is you acknowledging that you are in this race to win it. That you're on a journey. It's your journey. It's your personal journey, your personal process. But you're in it to win. And this is scriptural. Bible says, no athlete when he is competing, something I thought about this yesterday at the Workers' Congress, but when an athlete is competing, he's competing to win the prize. He's competing for a medal. And he's not the only one running the race. That's what competition is. He's not the only one running the race, but he's on his journey, based on his strength, based on his training, he is competing for a prize. But he acknowledges that I'm not the only one on this race. It's my personal race, my personal journey, but there are others running as well. And the good thing about running in this kingdom is, it is when you pass the finish line that you win. That's the difference, that's the balance there. But when you cross the finish line, you have won. But you're competing for a prize. And that's why, like the panelists have said, you learn from others. You learn from what other people are doing. You draw inspiration from them. You're not jealous. You're not envious. But you cannot compare yourself with somebody. You can't compare yourself with me, for example, and then start to think that you're inadequate or you failed just because you're not this person. Because your journey is different. Your composition is different. Your story is different. Where you're heading is different. And then, do you realize that Joseph would not have made it? Sorry, Jesus would not have made it without Joseph. Yeah. Do you know why? Because it was because of Joseph that the entire tribe of Israel was preserved. And it was because of Joseph that, all of the sons of Jacob, including Judah, who was then his, what's his word? Jesus' ancestor. That's why they were all preserved, because of Joseph. So imagine if Joseph had been comparing himself with, say, Judah. Like all those guys, they killed Joseph because they were comparing themselves with Joseph. And they didn't realize, Judah did not realize that he was going to be listed in a list of Jesus' ancestors. Maybe if he knew, he would have just relaxed. All right, so there's this book. One of our past life class speakers gave us a few copies. If you'd like a copy, it's just 6,500 naira. Please just walk up to the stand there and get a copy. It's an amazing book, and it speaks to what FLS taught. How many of us were in FLS's class? Yeah, so please get a copy. I think we have only about 10 copies in Soul City, so get a copy before you leave. If you'd like to give an offering, you can send it to the church account or signify with a wave of your hand. We take 2 offerings on Sundays, one for life class and then one during the main service. But if you are staying for the main Sunday worship service, you can decide to give then, or you can decide to give now. If you like an envelope, please just signify to put one in your hand, or you can do a transfer to the church account details over there. Finally, I'd like to acknowledge those who are worshiping with us for the first time. If you're worshiping with us for the first time, can you please rise? Let's just very quickly acknowledge you and give you a warm welcome. If you're staying for the Sunday worship and you'd rather be acknowledged, then that's fine. But if you're leaving, please do rise. We'd like to acknowledge you. Anyone? Anyone? Oh, wow. Wow. 2 lovely ladies. Thank you so much for being with us at Life Class. We hope you had a swell time. We meet here every Sunday for Life Class at 8 a.m. All right. A card will be placed in your hand. Please fill the card, and then we will get it. So if you're staying for the Sunday worship, you can just have your seat, and then we'll welcome you properly for Sunday worship. God bless you. Service starts in maybe like 30 seconds because I talked too much.